vulnerable to arrest under sus. In 1977, a group of parents in South London decided that was unacceptable.
Mavis, how does this police harassment of young people affect their parents?
I think it's got tremendous effect on the people living here in Lewisham, because they're disturbed, they're worried. Every time the children goes out, there's always this concern about whether or not they've been picked up. So I used to go down to the police station and say, come on, I demand that you let these kids out. I want to take them home, because by then the parents were so debilitated by the whole thing that they couldn't do anything.
Mavis Best became the spearhead of a national campaign to scrap sus, helped by a future Home Office minister.
I think the Act and the sense that they are being persecuted and picked on has very much embittered relationships between the police and young blacks.
The great strength of the Scrap Sus campaign was that it came from the grassroots experience of a group of black women in Lewisham, and came in time to embrace black people, white people, churches, political parties, all united in the belief that this was a law that had to change.
We went to see MERLYN Reeves and to discuss what the Labour Party could do.
But Roy Jenkins' successor as Home Secretary had to consider other points of view.
I remember talking to the Commissioner of Police of the Metropolis about it. Now, you didn't have great formal meetings, but we used to meet once a month and over a cup of coffee in the evening and chat about things.
Is society really saying that if we know that there's a man at that corner who has a murderous weapon in his pocket and he may use it, that we shouldn't have the right to search him before he probably commits a murder?
David McNee felt strongly that without the power to stop and search, his men wouldn't be able to do their job properly.
That was the assumption that I came away with, that he wasn't certain that the British people were ready for the Labour to take on issues like that.
The Home Office consistently, under both Labour and Conservative Home Secretaries, refused to accept that the sus law was either inherently discriminatory or being used in a discriminatory way.
It took the newly created Select Committee of backbench MPs to bring about change.
We went along and put the case to them, and John Wheeler was the chair of it. Very handsome man he was at the time.
I wonder if she would say the same today.
I thought, it was pretty striking and very, very supportive.
I was immediately impressed by the quality of the evidence that came from the various interests.
Wheeler's committee had to use strong-arm tactics to force reforms.
I encouraged the committee to come to the conclusion that it did, and to carry the case forward within the Home Office and within government to see that the legislation eventually came forward to amend the law. It was very controversial at the time. I don't think I was always very popular.
It took us 3 years to convince politicians the need to repeal the Act. So the credit must go to the black community for this, and no one else.
But in the end, it was anxiety over new arrivals